Hey Stampin' friends, welcome to the Joyous Stamping with Rachel. I'm Rachael Coon and it's our Wednesday's kit class. Today I'll be showing you how to make a fun celebration cards using the Feels Like Home stamp set and showing you 3 different techniques. Hold on while I flip and we'll get started. Hopefully, this is take 2. Hold on. One second, technical difficulties today. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that and make it this really secure. I apologize. I tried to go on earlier and it stopped mid flip. I don't know if I pushed something or what happened. So thank you for coming back if you came earlier and now you are here again. Thank you, thank you. And hopefully we can make sure my phone will be held just right. Thank you. All right, so let me go ahead and tell you about our class today and why it is what makes it a kit class and what that means for you. So what I do every Wednesday is I make up a projects, usually cards using Stampin' Up! Products, and I show you how to make things with them. And then if you want to make this at home, then all you have to do is to order $35 worth from my online store using the host code by Friday, and I'll send you all the paper products to make today's cards. So it's a class, so I teach you how, and then you can get the kit when you order online. Super easy and fun. So I told you a little bit about this one. We're using a celebration stamp set, and can I just say, to be honest, I did not love this stamp set when I first saw it. It's just not my style. It's very artsy, lots of detail images, and it's a door with a bike with some plants. And so I was like, oh, that doesn't usually speak to my style. However, it's for free, and I totally earned it. So I made sure to grab it, and I wanted to show you 3 different things we can make with this style of card or style of stamp set. And you better believe it. By the time I was done, I loved it. I was like, oh, this isn't as horrible as I thought it was going to be. It was really quite easy and fun. And it was great to try a different style of stamp set than my usual funny, cute floral images. All right, so there's 3 different ones. Let me show you each card and then we'll get started. So this one is just using regular ink to create this image here. No coloring, just one ink color that matches our background DSP. Super easy. This is a great one to mass produce and great if you're a beginner and you don't have all the supplies yet. So this is one of my favorite styles. Oh, also, I love that you can see so much detail with this one when you don't color it in. All right, our second one uses Stampin Blends. Those are one of my favorite ways to color. Even though I'm not the best at doing it, I love learning and just playing with it. So this one was a Stampin Blends style of coloring. And then the last one, we did more of a watercolor. So we did a watercolor wash on the back right here for this background, and we use our colored pencils, watercolor pencils, for this pop-up image here, which we just went ahead and popped up on with dimensionals to give it that fun look. We will do this one at the very end, and let's go ahead and start with our easiest one. Get these ones out of view so you can see. There we go. And let's grab those supplies. So I'm changing up the DSP. It's still from the same one, which is that In Good Taste DSP. You see on the back side it has that kind of like that tile look to it. Mostly because I wanted to make sure I had enough of that for your guys' kits as well. And just to show you, you can make this with any type of DSP. Just make sure your mats are matching some of the color tones in your paper. All right, so we only need to stamp this one piece right here. I did change up our card base shape, and I have it at the 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2 just to make it fun. All right, let's grab our big stamped image here. You will need either a big block, this is E, or you'll need your Stamparatus to stamp this image easily. And let's grab our Night of Navy. All right. You can either, I like to, since it's bigger and a big block, I like to ink it up on the ink pad itself. So I'll go like this and we'll just kind of tap it. And then we'll check it. And that looks pretty good. And then we're going to take it and go a little bit towards the top because I want to give myself some room for the bottom to stamp a saying. And this whole image will not fit on here. And that's okay. We kind of like it, look like it's carrying over to the sides. Next, let's grab our I Can't Thank You Enough. Ink that up, double check, looks pretty good. And put that right underneath our little porch there. Oh, perfect. All right, let's put this ink away, and that's it for this one. You don't have to color, you don't have to do anything else, just to now add it to the mats. So grab our basic white and mat it to our Night of Navy. And these are just squares. All these measurements will be over on my blog and in the comments after we're done today. We'll go ahead and add our DSP to our Night of Navy mat. And get those lined up nice. Okay, grab our card base and attach this one to it. We are going to add just a little bit extra or change it up a little bit and use dimensionals for our main image here. So just flip it over, grab your dimensionals, put one in each corner at least, and at least one in the middle. Some people like to do some extra support, and that's just up to you of how many dimensionals you want to use. It is a great debate in the stamping world, by the way, how many dimensionals is okay to use on a card. And some like to go a lot, and some like to go not too much. I like to have it not centered, but a little bit, about 1/2 inch border here, and then most of the empty space over here as well. Grab our bone folder, flip it, and crease that. All right, there we go. Our first card, super simple, but wow, doesn't that look great? And you have to let me know which background DSP you like better, more of that tile look or more of that kind of that paint look on that one. All right, let's set that one aside. There are some great extra items. So if I wanted to continue stamping, I could have stamped this little pot in there or these cute little, it's like a vine that carries over from our front image here. Totally up to you. All right, let's go to our next one. This is our blends card that we are making. And we'll set that aside and grab the items. All right, also, since we're using that same stamp set, same stamp over and over again, I make sure I clean it off. So I like to use just a reusable wipe and give it a good wipe down and make sure we're good. And then the ink we're going to use next will be Memento. If you are worried about it, you can go ahead and do a little stamping on the side to see if it's dry. That looks pretty good. And I did go ahead and emboss this on gray granite. Isn't this the coolest embossing folder ever? It's called Brick and Mortar 3D embossing folder, and it truly looks 3D. You can see like these little pieces here look like they're popping out. I love this one. I thought this would be super fun to add to our card base, which is our normal basic white, but it's thick basic white. And it is at the 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Okay, so for this one, what we're going to do is grab our Memento ink. And this time my ink is smaller than my block. So I'm going to go ahead and just start tapping it, and I can see what I'm doing here. Can you see how I'm just adding some of this ink? Be careful to make sure you don't get too much over on the sides. When you ink here, just wipe it off. Otherwise, you might get some halos. Halos are great on angels. Halos are not great on cards. They're workable, and if you have a halo, you can totally cover it up with something or make it work for you. I'm going to stamp just about center for that one. and lift up. Perfect. That looks great. Now we just need to grab our blends, and this is where you get to be creative and make it however you want. I am using that gray granite, so that's going to be one of my main colors for this one today, is our gray granite. That's the dark one. Here's my light one, but I'm going to start with the door. So pick your door color. I did the Just Jade in light for my door, and I'm using my brush tip, and I'm just going to go around it, and I'll try to do this slightly fast, but as you know, coloring is a patient thing. It's a great time to get some popcorn or a drink, or if you're watching this on the replay or on YouTube, you could totally fast forward this part if you already know how to color with blends. Or if you don't care what colors, and you'll pick whatever color you want to make yours with. Okay, so there's our door. I do like to go over some spots to get some shading. So I just go over the same color I had, and it gives it a darker on the top look to it. Awesome. Next, let's go ahead and color in our window. I use a Daffodil Delight to create some light in there. And in my original card, I went ahead and I used the other tip of my Just Jade. Let's see if we can do that too. So there's 2 tips on each blend, a brush end and more of a smaller tip. And I can use that to help me with my window pane maybe. There we go. That's not too bad. There we go. All right. Next, let's go ahead and do our gray granite. I'm going to start with my light, and I'm going to go around the door frame now. And this door frame has the tree that kind of connects with it. So just kind of go around that carefully. And color this in. Play around it. And the very bottom here. Perfect. Because of the way the tire wheel is, you want to make sure you color right there as well. There we go. Awesome. Let's go ahead and do our dark gray granite, which I did for our flooring here and for our tires. Let's do our tires first. I'm going to just go ahead and go over them carefully with that small tip. It's such a small detailed line, so I'm trying not to go too heavy with this brush here. And get that tire as well. Black tires would work, but it kind of makes it disappear. So I try to use it just a little bit lighter on there. All right, next just color in this flooring, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I just kind of do, and we want it to have like an unfinished look to the bottom. So don't have to line it up straight or anything. Kind of like an awesome little squiggles. Make sure you do go ahead and get behind that tire though. All right, that doesn't look too bad. We'll call that good. Next, let's go ahead and color in our plants. I use the dark soft sea foam, and I just went ahead and just colored in some of the shrubbery here. The house plants. And I have no idea what's in this basket, so I'm just going to pretend it's something green. And we'll color that the same color. There we go. For the pots and the basket, I'm using a dark Just Jade for this one. So we'll go ahead and color this one in. And our pot down here. I've seen some really cute red pots though, if you want to do more traditional. And the planters over here. There we go. Just adds a little bit of color, but makes it so it matches really well. When I'm all done, I'll get close up so you guys can see it better. I am going to go ahead and use the Daffodil Delight again for my basket here. And we're going to make the seat, though, a brighter yellow. So I have my light Mango Melody. I'm just going to make that seat color pop up a little bit. And then for the bike itself, I actually use Bermuda Bay, the dark one. And you're just going to use that small tip again and basically just outline this bike just to give it a little bit of color. And it's such a detailed item that it's kind of hard to stay in the lines, but it's okay. You just want to add just a little bit of color. There we go. All right, we're almost there. So lastly, let's go ahead and add our branches color in our crumb cake and just kind of outline them a little bit. And I'm actually going to change the color of my leaves from my first original. I did a very dark green and I'd use the shaded spruce, which is a beautiful, beautiful color. But I'm going to go ahead and use, let's see, I think I had it. Oh, maybe, oh, here it is. We're going to try our Granny Apple. It's going to be a brighter green. It's going to be easy to color in and still show the detail of the leaves though. I felt with that dark green, I kind of lost the details to these leaves. So, and this, you just have to kind of fill in. I don't have to color each individual leaf or anything like that. Just kind of follow the outline of the tree. And make sure you get some over here. Awesome. Okay, I like it. I like that one. I feel like it looks a little bit better than our original. We just need to do one last thing, is add our brick color. I'm using the light Pool Party, which you think is kind of a weird color for a wall, but mostly we just want to have a little bit of color to it. And I use this color often to outline things. So just to give it like a shadow look almost. So I'm throwing a little bit back here too. Not too much. Just carry that wall over. And then let's get our wall over here. Make sure you go in the spokes again for our tire. So by the time you're done, this little wheel here will have 3 different colors underneath it. We'll get some background behind this wheel. That wheel I left blank, so you can kind of see what a white looks like behind it instead of the Pool Party. And we're just following along this wall here. Again, don't worry, don't make straight lines because the wall itself is very jagged, so you can get away with it not being perfect. Okay, there we go. Let me go ahead and get it closer so you can see. There's our coloring, our blends. Super pretty, pretty easy. Next, the easiest part is to rip it. So all I do is I go from one side and I start. And I usually like to have one finger as my guide so it doesn't go too far into. We don't want to rip that pretty coloring we just did. And I just start pulling it down. There's one piece. You flip it and go on to the next side. Again, use your finger as a guide. So if you want it to come further in and make it not pass where your finger is. There we go. So this piece here, I started off with a 4 by 5 1/4, my usual measurement for pieces on cards. And we are just tearing it. So there's no rhyme or reason to the actual size of this one. It's probably closer to like 3 1/2, maybe 4 by 4 by the time we're done tearing. So a little bit more here. Just grab it and tear it. Oh, we love it. Look at all that texture that just added to our paper. You can even see how it looks like we tore here, but then it has like the underneath layer. It's super pretty. Great, great technique. Okay, let's grab our card base and our embossed image and we'll attach. Get that centered. Let me grab our seal and put a little bit. You can either use your liquid glue or your seal. You do want to use basic white though as your color. I tried earlier this morning to color with blends on another paper, and definitely basic white is superior. Okay, and color's the best. I left this one blank. There's no green on this one, so that you guys can change this for anything that you need, or put the image or the saying in the inside. So a great one for this one would be the missing you, I'm always and forever here for you, or even your friendship feels like home to me would be great for the inside of this card, because we really want the focus just to be this cool image that we've created. Okay, let's go ahead and set that aside and get ready for our last one. So this one requires a little bit more love and a little bit more time and technique. And I am not a watercoloring expert. In fact, I'm trying hard to learn how to watercolor. I've taken a couple classes to help me get better because it's not my go-to. So hopefully you can learn something here and be a little bit more confident, or find it that you don't have to be an expert to enjoy it. All right. So what we're going to use though, let me grab all of our supplies. Let me clean up just a little bit because we are going to get messy. Set these blends over here. Are our pieces here. So I'm using the gray granite to help us match with those other cards. And then I have, this is a regular basic white for the inside. For the outside, however, we have a shimmery white paper. This is paper that Stampin' Up! Sells that's a little bit thicker and works great when you're watercoloring or using your watercolor pencils and blends. And then I have this little strip of the shimmery white as well that we'll actually do our stamping image on. And we have our Poppy Parade. Okay, so what we're going to grab is our Stamparatus. That will be your best friend for this type of technique, and I'll show you why. So I have my stamp set here. I'm going to place it right underneath, so that way when I open it up, I have something to hold on to it, my plate right here. We're going to go ahead and grab this piece, our main item, and we're going to just line it up and use our magnet to keep it where we want it to be. I'm then going to grab my pencil, and I'm going to just mark it so I know where my corners are. So when I remove it, I know what space it took up, if that makes any sense. Next, because we're watercoloring, we cannot use Memento. Memento is a big no-no for watercoloring. It is water-based. It will just run. So what you do want to use is an ink called StazOn. That's our permanent ink, and is what I highly recommend you use when you're doing watercoloring. It's a different type of stamp case instead of our usual cases that flip upside down, and it dries out sooner. So I definitely recommend also to get the refill for this, and I refill mine almost every time beforehand, even if it doesn't need it or does or doesn't need it, because I don't want to risk it. It just dries out super fast. Okay, so for this one, it even has a lid, and then it has an extra little plastic cover to help keep it from drying out. And I re-inked it right beforehand, so we should be good. All right, let's grab this guy. Let me go ahead and wash it off again from our last one with our Memento ink. Just by doing a quick wipe. Squeaky clean. And we'll tap off some of that water. All right, we're gonna remove it from this block. And we are going to place it face down onto our piece of paper. I want it to be a little bit to our left, so I slide it right about there, because I do need to stamp another image or another saying right here. Okay, so right about there. Make sure it looks like it's pretty straight. I'm gonna take my plate and I'm gonna pick it up. Just like that, and that will grab it onto our plate. And now it's placed exactly where I want it to be. Pretty awesome, right? Okay, let's go ahead and ink that up. Let me see if you can see it still. Sorry, let's move it over a little bit. Here's our StazOn. I'm gonna go ahead and ink up our front door, our bike, our little cool tree here. And you can see that it's catching some of that black. Okay, hopefully we have that pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and stamp it. And if not, the awesome thing about the Stamparatus is I can ink this again and try again, and it'll line up just right. Oh, that looks awesome. Pretty good, pretty good. While we're here, let's go ahead and stamp our saying, which is I'm always and forever here for you. And we'll just ink that up in our StazOn and put it right about here. Perfect. Okay, now what we're gonna do is mark it. So I know this paper, I wanna put it right over this door. And I can have it go a little bit this way if I want. I can have some of the tire in there, some of the leaf. Doesn't matter. You're gonna put it where you want it and then mark it underneath for us to line it up. So you just mark it on your grid paper. And then we're gonna remove this piece here. Hope I didn't shimmy that too much. The downfall is make sure your grid paper is where you want it to be. Then we're gonna go ahead and add this back on. And we'll put our magnet here to help keep it and ink this up again. We'll get our StazOn ready to go. And press down. And that should be where we want that door to be. Let's see. Oh, awesome. Super, super great. Love it. Okay, put that ink back, cover it up with a little plastic cover, cover it up with your lid, and set it aside. Okay, and that's it. Now we just need to color in 2 different ways. So let me show you how to do that. We want to do this one first because it will need to dry. And we're doing 2 different techniques for this one. We're using watercolor pencils and just our ink also to help us watercolor. You want to grab your painter brush, and that has water inside of it. And we're going to do what's called a wet wash. We're going to go over this paper around all of our inked images. So we're not going to go on any of our ink. We're just going to get it wet. So you just kind of brush it on there. If you haven't used your brush for a while, check it to make sure it's wet by going on your skin. And that has a little bit of water coming out. I just need to push it a little bit more. There we go. We want to just give this a nice wet start. You can do add watercoloring on dry, but I really like this wet look first. Okay, there we go. I feel like it's coming out a little bit better now. Just make sure. It dries fairly quickly, the water does, which is good and bad. Let me grab, this one I feel like I need a little bit more water into it. Let me grab my old brush real quick. Okay, just to make sure that the water's coming out easy. I should have refilled the other one. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'll just do this step twice. And press a little bit of that water out. And since it's clear, it's hard to see, so just have good lighting so you know where you've gone. Or just know it's going to be all around our ink look. Or, yeah, the images we have. Okay. Now, we have our, this is an old stamp case. Our new stamp cases look like this, but they still work as well. And what you would do is usually would just kind of squish it and transfer your ink to there. If that's too hard for you, because see mine's in my lid here, you can also use a clean block. Let me grab one. Use a clean block and you would just tap it, some ink on here, and then flip it over, and that would be your workspace. I know it's kind of hard to see, but there it is. There's the ink there. So let me go ahead and show you how I can use that one. We'll grab the ink from here and start to make our watercolor. And you can put a little bit of water out when you're doing this, so just press on your brush where it says press, and follow those wet lines we had earlier. And you can have it as light or as dark as you want, and it dries differently. So whatever we see now, it will not be the finished product. So keep that in mind, and you can always go over it again. You're like, well, I actually want it to be a little bit lighter or a little bit darker. You can always add more. It's harder to take away. You can take away some color when you're watercoloring. by diluting it, but it's best just to start light and then go dark. Okay. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to call that good and close up our inks and let that dry. And for your clear block that you use, you could either use your wipe or take it under your sink and just wipe it off. And that is good as new. All right. Next, what we need to do while this is drying, we'll just set this aside to finish the drying. We're gonna grab that tiny little piece that we had stamped on earlier, and we're gonna use our watercolor pencils. And this one, there's no rhyme or reason. You can use whatever colors you want for this. I like to use, I wanted to do a red door to match a little bit more of that Poppy Parade. So I have my real red here, and the best thing about watercolor pencils is that you literally can just scribble. As long as you plan to use a paintbrush at the end or the blender pen. So I'm just going around here and scribbling. Crazy, right? All right, let's go ahead and grab that basic gray. I'm gonna give some scribbles up here. And on the outline of our door frame. If you want darker, just press a little bit harder. So I'm going to do a dark wheel for this one. Like that. There we go. I used, for our wall, I did a little bit of the Bermuda Bay. Kind of like that pool party from before. I just go there on those sides. Just have that extra color. And then, oh, make sure you color in under the spoke again of your tire. For this bottom piece, I started off with mine with doing yellow. And then I was like, oh, I don't like the way that turned out. And so then I went over it again with another color. But while I'm here, let me go ahead and grab this windows and make our windows yellow. Again, just scribbling. So I used the yellow, and then I used the Cajun Craze and went over this floor matting. Kind of have a dual color going here. We do have a little bit of the pot, so if you want to color in the pot and with the blue a little bit, that pop right there. And then we need to get our leaves. Again, just going over it slightly. With that color. It looks really messy and childlike right now, right? Very rough, very rough. But that's okay, because you're gonna watch how awesome this is gonna turn out once we add the blender pen. The blender pen is one of my best friends when it comes to a watercoloring world. And the cool thing about it is that I don't have to add anything to it. There's a solution inside. And when I clean it, all I have to do is wipe it on my grid paper to clean it from one color to the next. I do usually like to start with the lightest color. So I'll go over here and I'll do my windows, the yellow. And you just lightly rub it. And it takes away those harsh lines that we just scribbled on. If I'm done with that color, just wipe it clean till it goes clear. And we'll go on to our next. I can go ahead and do my gray. And what we're doing is we're just moving the color. The color's already there, but we're just adding a little bit of solution to it, having it smooth out those squiggle lines, and filling in the spots where we just had scribbled. Okay. Get our tire roll right there. We'll go ahead and get this bottom spot, that door frame. Already looking a lot better. Let's go ahead and hit up that door now, that red door. We're gonna go over there and color in. And those spots, like I said, that are missing my just white lines, you just are moving that color to those areas. So you don't have to color the whole thing red when you're moving the color. Again, I'm using either the water paper color or that shimmery white because it's thicker. And if you were to use this on a regular basic white, it wouldn't do as well. So you want to make sure you have the right paper when you're doing watercoloring. I'm just adding a little bit more red to that one. I'm going to blend it some more to give just a little bit more shadows. There we go. Awesome. Wipe that clean. That's pretty good. Let's go ahead and do our flooring right here now. So I'm going to do little squiggles. Oh, I love that. Look how those colors are blending together. Create that front porch look. We have our little green here from our tree we can go over. There. And then our blues, our light blue on the side. Oh, that looks so cool when it pops up with color. And our blue right here on this side, and our very bottom blue for that plant. Awesome. Okay, we'll wipe that one dry too, so that it's ready for the next time I color. And if I wanted to, I could have switched off this lid and used the other side. Totally up to you. All right, let's see how this paper is doing. If it feels pretty dry, if it was really wet still, what we would do is use our heat tool, and I could have dried it with that as well to help speed up time. But that one's not too bad. We'll just be extra careful with it when we attach it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start carefully attaching these items to the mats and the card base. We'll use our liquid glue. And flip it over. There we go. If you feel like that is not attaching very well, feel free to put a clean block on top of it to help it while we go ahead and flip this one over and add some dimensionals. So I'm just going to put some in each corner, grab the middle and each corner. There we go. Okay, some people like to put them even in like your catalog or a book, and that'll help and close it shut on there, and that helps it lay flat as well. Let's go ahead and attach this to our card base, and then we'll attach this piece as well. I like to attach this while it's flat versus when that's attached to it, just because it's easier to do, even though we were ready for that step. Okay. There we go. Remove the dimensionals, and now we got to carefully place this on top of that image. I say carefully because I did not do that carefully the first time, and I had to remove it and change it. So we want to try to line this up. My best bet is to go from one side like this one and kind of do a match. See where our tire is, because that's where we're going to notice it the most. There's our basket. I'm going to make sure that's straight up and down as well. Okay, there we go. Use our bone folder to finish it off. And we would glue in that centerpiece as well for some great writing space. There we have our watercolored pencil and our watercolor background as well for this card. I hope you guys like that one. That one's a super fun technique, and gives you different choices how to make that one. All right, let's go ahead and show all the ones as we're almost done. And just remind you to make sure you order during celebration. So these ones were made with the blends, and these ones were made with just ink and DSP. Be sure if you want to get this kit to order by Friday, by midnight, and I will send you all the paper products to make this kit. And if you want this stamp set for free, just order $50 from my online store and add this to your cart. I hope you guys had a fun time learning these new techniques, and thank you for holding on while I had some technical difficulties in the beginning. Have a great, great week. Happy stamping, everyone. Goodbye.